Junkyard Junkie, back here with another video. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to remove the engine. We're just going to be removing the engine only. I know most guides on the internet show the engine and transmission, but I know that I can get just the engine out by itself, which should save some time overall. Okay, so the awesome thing about these Hondas, they have a place to put the prop rod, so you can actually level the hood almost vertical. I guess they knew these K-Series motors weren't that great and want to give you more access to get it out. Okay, so coming from our prop rod, if we come down, right here at the very bottom, there's a hole for it right there. Now look at that difference. We got plenty of working room now. Now that's a design that I feel every car needs, really. So right there, you can see where the prop rod goes. You can see the middle latch. And that's where it goes now. So when it was brought into me, it already had this cover removed. So there's 4 bolts holding it on, or 2 bolts and I believe 2 nuts. Take this off. They also had these 2 cool packs just laying here. So we're going to take those off. We also have this engine cover. Just go ahead and unscrew that. Okay, so we'll start working on all this in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and drain the fluids first. Okay, so looking under the vehicle, we come in right up through here. There's your petcock for your radiator to drain. Just reach up in here, turn it to the left. You'll be able to turn it by your hand. Now then, we'll let that drain out. And at this point, if you go and take the radiator cap off, it will come out a lot smoother and won't take as much time. Okay, so now you just want to get a 17mm. You can get a wrench or a ratchet. Break it loose. It's pretty dark engine oil, that's for sure. Pretty thick. And we got sparklies in the oil. Okay, so looking at the oil, you can see all these metallic flakes. Yeah, this motor's done for. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take off the upper radiator hose and the lower one. It took me forever to buy me a set of these hose clamp pliers, but man, are they worth every penny. But to me, must-have tool. Makes pulling these off a breeze. Okay, so we'll also go ahead and take off this lower radiator hose. There we go. Okay, if they're stuck on there, take you a pick. You're going to get it in there. Don't poke a hole through the rubber itself, but get in there and just work it around. Break the seal loose. And once you go all the way around it, you should be able to pull it out now. Oh yeah. There you go. Simple as that. Okay, so next up, we'll go ahead and take out this battery. Please don't do this. You stick a screw in there, it makes a little bit better connection, but you'll eat up your post and it's just not good for connections. If your connection isn't closing enough to keep it sealed, then you're going to want to go ahead and replace these ends. That's the proper way to do it. So we got a 10mm. As you can see, they actually went into the post itself. Go ahead and take this side off. Then we got 2 10mm bolts holding it in. Well, I guess it's J-hooks, whatever. There you go, they look like that. little J hooks. I don't know the proper name. Now we can just take this battery cover out, and we'll go ahead and take this battery out. Okay, so next up, we'll go ahead and take off this breather tube, get a small Phillips head. Okay, that's loose. Go ahead and do this top one up here. So next up, you want to remove this little hose right here. Just take it off. Pull that out. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start to remove this. You gotta kind of pry this out of the way. This is stuck on there pretty good. You shouldn't have to fight with it this much. As you can see right here, it'll just pop off of here. You can kind of just press this out of the way and it'll come out. Okay, so next up, we'll take this bottle off. So just remove this hose. And then if you come over here, you got one bolt holding it in. So we'll get our 10mm. Don't want to lose the bolt. And then you can just pull it right out. So we are at least going to move the radiator fans out of the way. I don't think I'm going to take the radiator off, but we may have to. So we got one connector here, and then we got one connector here. Push down back here and pull out. Same with this. Push down right here, pull out. Okay, so now that you got both of those disconnected, now we're going to take out 1, 2, 3. These are 10mm. Before we can take the fan out, we still got to take this electrical wiring off. Take a little pry tool, pry that out. There may be one more right there. Okay, now that you get those out, there's 3 little spots on the right side you had to get out. So if we look here, just like the other side, the wire comes in and you can grab it from this side or the other side. So you can come in here and just pinch those closed, push it out. There's also one more connector down there that you're going to have to take off. Super simple, but after that, now it will come out. Okay, so looking in here without the radiator fan, we will have more than enough clearance. So next, let's go ahead and remove just this front part of the intake manifold. Okay, so these are 12mm. I knew the 10mm was eventually about to run out. We got one over here. So that's a bolt. And we got one right here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take off these 2 vacuum lines. One there, get a thing for that. Then we'll get some pliers, run this up. Just pull that off. Over here, we need to disconnect this, take that out. And up here, we also need to take that out. So with a 10mm, take that out, press in, pull out. Okay, and then up here, we got one more bolt. We take this out, we can take this bracket off. 10mm. I like to put my bolts back where they were. So for right now, we're just going to move all this out of the way. And we had this one with the shank go right here. And we need to go ahead and take this hose off as well. We'll just take off that hose on the throttle body. Now then, we'll go ahead and move these down, take these off. There we go. To the right of this throttle body is its connector. You're going to push down on this side, push in, pull it out. There we go. Got that off. Okay, so we also got to take off this bracket, 10 millimeter. So if we look right down here, that little bracket right there, we need to take that bolt out. That connects it to this intake. After that, we should be able to go ahead and take it out. Okay, so after all that, you should be able to just go ahead and pull this off. Now we have a lot more access. Okay, now that we got that out, we have all of this working room. And yes, I did go ahead and clean up the engine some. I figured it's better to clean up the engine now than have to clean up myself and my tools later. Okay, this pulley right here, you need a 14 millimeter wrench. This is your tensioner. We gotta loosen it up and take the belt off. So we'll just stick 14 millimeter in here. Give it a good pull back. Now then, we should be able to just work our belt out. Just slip it off all your little pulleys and out it comes. Up next, we got to take off this power steering pump. You got one 12 millimeter there. If you come over here to the side here, there's one 12 millimeter there. I'm going to use a wrench down here. So I'll just slip it on there. Okay, that's one. And there's two. Now for this, we'll just try to put it up here as far as we can so it ain't in our way. Okay, for the alternator, we have one up there and one right down there. We also have this connection we got to take off, and right there. Okay, for this connector, you're going to push in, pull it out, and then right here, you're just going to take this boot off. And that'll be either a 12 or a 10. Okay, so this is going to be a 10 millimeter. Find that nut. We can take that off. Now we'll go ahead and take off these two 12 millimeters. Break this top one loose. Go ahead and break this bottom one loose. So after I got the bottom bolt off, it just wanted to fall off. So now we can just work it right out of here. Okay, next up, these two bolts on the bottom of the AC compressor. We're just going to take our wrench, get it up in there, take both those out. They won't come all the way out because they hit the frame, and we'll leave our AC compressor on the frame itself. Okay, so next up, we gotta get this AC compressor off. We already loosened up the two bottom bolts. There's a top bolt there, then there's another top bolt right there lining up with this. We're doing it this way so we can just leave the AC compressor in the car. There we go. See it come loose. We're just going to tuck it in the front. That way it doesn't mess with us pulling out the motor. Okay, next up we got this starter here. So take that boot off right there and you can see there's a nut right here. There's a connector. We'll take that off. Coming in here behind the starter, there's a sensor right here. Take that out. Now then, we're going to take off these two bolts. So we got one here. We have a long one right back there. So these are 14 millimeter. I like to get the hardest one first. So for this one, we'll need a 17 millimeter. Now then we can pull it out and we can get this connector off. It's 12 millimeter. This should just slide right out of here. Okay, so now we want to get these little hooks out. So we're going to press those in, pull it out. Then over here, I believe this one, yeah, press down and pull it out. So it sits right there, and you're going to press down on the bottom, pull it out. Okay, so we need to start taking off these connections. So right here, just press in, and it broke from just old age. Pull it out. Now we'll take off our fuel injectors. On the left side of them, there's a little push tab. So you push in, rocket free. This one's a little harder to get to. There we go. A lot of these connections are brittle from old age, so sometimes you can't help but to break them. This one's already broke. So we'll go ahead and disconnect all these cool packs. On the side here, you just press in, pull out. Go ahead and do that for the other three. Okay, in the back we have one there and one right pretty much beside it for your VVT. We also, in the front here, have this connection. Take all three of those off. I won't be able to record that, it's just too tight in there. We'll also take this bracket holding the power steering line in. It's 10 millimeter. Now you can see a better view of those two sensors. You will also have to take off this crankshaft sensor. There's one more above it that you have to take off. Okay, so once you get all of those unconnected and everything else, pull them up. We just lift up here, slide this to the side. Okay, so we've almost got the wiring out of our way. Our EGR valve, we need to take this off. We want to take off these two bolts that holds this bracket on here. We've already disconnected over here. Have to take this fuel line off. Just grab it, move it out of the way. Now we can actually get to these. On these, there's two sides. You want to push both those in. And there you go. Now, that just comes right off. We're also going to take this one off right here. And then all of this should come off with these two bolts. We'll go ahead and take off this PCV hose as well. That'll let all this be free. So we'll just take a pair of pliers. There we go. This one actually doesn't have to come off. We disconnected over here. So we'll just tuck this in here. Okay, so we have these two 10 millimeters. There we go. Now we can pull this away from the engine. We have a connector right here. So you just grab it, push in, pull it out. We'll go ahead and take this hose off as well. Okay, so to get this off of our fuel rail, all you're going to do is take this middle tab, push it outwards. So push up and out. There we go. We got to take this ground off. The ground's a 10 millimeter. All right, we're going to take this EGR valve off. We need a 12 millimeter. I went ahead and broke them loose. So now we'll just come in here, pick this up and off. Next up, coming in here, this bracket for the wiring harness. It's 10 millimeter. Right here we have the sensor. You just press in, pull out. We're going to go ahead and take this little clip off real quick. Okay, so there's a connector right behind this, down underneath. If you follow the wires, there's also one more connector. Can't get a good shot of it, but it's right there. Next up, we're going to take this bracket off. There's one bolt there, and then there's one bolt right back there. There's a better look of that second bolt. You just got to loosen it up, and then it will come right off. Okay, so up next, we need to take off these two heater hoses. Okay, so coming underneath, we're going to go ahead and get access to the torque converter bolts. Take those out. So we got one bolt up there, one there, one right there, and one more right there, and then we'll be able to take this little cover off. Okay, so these are 14 millimeter. Okay, so these are 10 millimeter. So we'll go ahead and take these out and then spin the engine over and get the other ones. Counter holding the crankshaft. We'll go ahead and take this off. Crankshaft bolt is a 19 millimeter. I just use a wrench to get on there. Now then, you should be able to turn the flywheel without this plate turning. Okay, so we need to take off this flex pipe from the exhaust manifold. You're going to need a 12 millimeter. There's one on the other side. So here's the bolt and the spring. It'll come right out. Okay, so to separate the transmission from the engine, we need to take out this bolt here. And if we look up there, we got another bolt right there. Okay, so these are 17 millimeter. Okay, so right down there, we have a bolt we gotta take out. If we come up here behind this little tubing, there's another bolt right back there, both 17s. If you're wondering why this tube doesn't have to come off, it goes to your heater hose that we're taking off in the back. Okay, so we got the heater hoses removed. If you look right down there, we have another bolt that connects our engine to our transmission. Right there. Okay, so looking here, here's the one I showed you. Here's the other one I showed you. Going up, there's a third one up there that you also got to take out. This mount up here, if you want, you can remove it all the way. That's totally fine. I'm, on the other hand, going to remove this bolt right here. One, there's one above it. Two, there's a third one. And then there's a fourth one back there that we got to get from the top. If you loosen all those up and just pull them out, it'll give us enough clearance to get the motor out. Okay, so you want to get the 2 bolts on this side and the 2 bolts on that side out. I got all 4 just dangling in there. I'll show you a better example once I get the engine out. Honestly, that's going to be the hardest part of this whole job in my opinion. There's no easy way to get to some of them bolts. The 2 on that side you can get to from underneath pretty good. This top right one over here, I couldn't get a swing in because of all these wires and stuff. So let me know what your experience is with that, because I'd like to know. We're going to take off this right here, this front motor mount. Once we get that off, we're going to strap it up and get ready to hoist it out, because we still got this one over here holding this in. Once we get it ready to go, we'll take those out and we'll pull it out. Okay, so we'll go ahead and break this one loose. Now we got to get this other one, break it loose. So we'll zip these out. I'll pick that up in a minute. Okay, this will lift up and out. There's this front one we also have to take out right here. So I believe it's a 14. Yeah, it's 14. Okay, so I just took 2 seat belts, wrapped them around here in the exhaust, and then put it across this. Now I'm going to go get either the Bobcat or the Dingo, and we are going to lift it out here. This is a good time to use the cherry picker, but the hydraulic cylinder on ours is messed up. Okay, so we're going to take this one out, and we'll go ahead and take those out as well. We got it supported. Go ahead and break these loose. Just slide that to the side. Okay, so we got it hooked up. We got our motor mounts disconnected. We should be good to go. Now you want to shake it off of the transmission. Okay, so we can call that successful. You can in fact just pull the engine out through the top with a cherry picker. Granted, I used a Dingo, but I would have used a cherry picker if my hydraulic cylinder wasn't messed up. This mount back here, it's got 2 right there, and it's got 2 on that side. You gotta take all 4 of those out so you get a little bit of play in it to get that engine out. And then the power steering pump's gonna be all up in your way coming out, but it's doable. Overall, this is the whole process. Now, if you found this video helpful, please give me a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you.